So, if we had a 45-degree triangle like this that has a right angle, and many of you probably already have it written out, but we have an isosceles triangle here, right? Because these are both 45 degrees. If this side is 1, how long do you think this side is?
Half. 2. 3. 1.
This one is also 1. Okay? How long do you think the hypotenuse is? 2?
1 point something.
1 point something?
Yeah. 1.5.
Well, we just figured it out, right? Like, we could use the Pythagorean theorem.
What's the square root of 2?
1 squared plus b squared.
The square root of 2?
Yeah, because it's not a real number.
All right. Well, we'll see. So, 1 squared plus 1 squared is equal to c squared, so I'll call the hypotenuse c. And then 1 squared is 1. 1 squared is 1.
Are you sure?
2.
Yeah.
It says 2.
So c squared equals 2. So if c squared is 2, c must be plus or minus the square root of 2. But since we're dealing with a triangle, we can't have a negative distance. So we'll just put c as the square root of 2.
Square root of 2.
The square root of 2. Yeah, these triangles are dumb. Okay, so c is the square root of 2. Do we have any questions so far? Yeah, I did it already. Yeah. Yeah, Gage. What is square root of 2? It's 1.414, and the decimal goes on forever and never repeats.
Why do you have that memorized?
Because I've taught math for like several years, so.
I was right. I said
Can't hear you for Sean.
He was a stupid teaching math before we were born.
Well, you guys were born. Probably not quite that
I
long.
was joking.
I'm not that old.
Maybe Steve's gonna have a
Please.
So, I'm trying to hide the answer there.
I didn't know the answer.
Let's draw another triangle. Can you guys complete this triangle for me quietly without yelling out the answer?
No.
I will give you 40 seconds.
I actually see the answer, so I don't think I should.
Krishna, where's your notebook?
It's in my head.
28, 27.
Hey, don't do that. I will beat you up.
Wait, is this the same thing?
No.
What's 2 squared? 4 squared.
2 squared is 4. 4 squared is 16.
Hey, I got it. Take a look.
Baja is patiently holding her hand up. Baja, what'd you get? Which, for what? There were 2 things.
Oh, the long one. That one is 2. No?
This is the square root of 8?
Yeah.
Alright. And this was 2?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. So how'd you get square root of 8?
Because the other one has to be 2.
This one has to be 2. Okay.
Isosceles triangle, and then 2 squared plus 2 squared.
I was confused there. You're like, because the other one has to be 2. I'm like, how does that tell me that? But I see where you're going. Okay, so 2 squared plus 2 squared equals c squared. Is that what you're saying? Is that what you did, basically? I don't know why it's so funny. So this is 4 and 4 equals c squared. I'm just talking to myself now. I don't think Baja's listening.
Oh, that's so
I don't think you're it.
Okay, so the square root of 8. How many of you have, I'm curious, and don't feel bad if you've never been taught this, or if you were asleep while it was taught, or you missed school that day.
You should feel bad then.
So, well, yeah, you should probably feel bad then. How many of you, I'm just curious, how many of you have learned how to simplify stuff like the square root of 8?
Kind of.
1, 2, 3, 3.5, 4.5, 5.5, 6.5, 7.5, 8.5, 9.5, 10.5.
I'm not a half.
Where'd you get the hat?
Wait, I'm a half?
Amelia, she's like, kind of, so I kind of heard.
Yeah, I'm a half too.
Okay, so 10. 10.5. Okay. All right. So the square root of 8. Let me ask you guys this. So this is something fascinating. I'm not sure if you guys knew this. Every number can be broken down. Well, every whole number can be broken down as a product of a bunch of different prime numbers. So like 35 could be broken down into 7 times 5. 7 and 5 are prime, right? Yeah, they are. What are all the numbers that multiply to give us 8? And all the numbers you give me have to be prime.
One,
So,
one,
Two.
eight. I mean,
Just 2 then.
so there's 2.
There's 2.
It's 2 times 2 times 2, right?
2 times 2 times
So
2.
how can we figure that out? We break it down one step at a time. So 8 I think of as 4 times 2. How many of you guys have seen a prime factorization tree? You don't need to yell it out, just raise your hand. How many of you have seen a prime factorization tree like this before?
it has to be prime?
Okay.
I've seen half of them.
Okay, cool. All right. So we started at 8, and the question was, at some point, we know that we're going to be able to multiply a bunch of prime numbers and get to 8. Okay? By the way, 2 is a prime number. It's the only even prime number. Okay? So 8 is, once you get down to a number that can't be divided evenly, then you circle that number. Okay? So 8 is really 2 times 2 times 2. Okay? So, now, this is, so the square root of 8 is really the square root of 2 times 2 times 2. Okay? Now, here's what's kind of cool about square roots. It's kind of like Survivor. A bunch of people go, and they're on the island, and only one person comes out, the winner. Okay? So, that's it's not called Vietnam. There's a TV show called Survivor. Okay? And Survivor, a bunch of people. Yeah, that was really insensitive. A bunch of numbers are under the radical, and then here's the rule. You ready? Every time there's a pair of numbers, then one of those numbers comes out.
I get it.
Okay? And the pair has to be the same. You can't pick like 3 and 4 and cross them out and then say like 4 gets to come out. No. You find a pair of numbers under the radical, and every pair of numbers that's under the radical, one of them gets to come out. The other one, I guess, just dies somewhere. Yes.
And then 2 times 2 times 3 times 3 would be like 6, something.
We'll get to that. Good question. So really, check this out. So the square root of 8 is really just 2 times the square root of 2.
That's what I got.
Okay? Awesome. So if you got that, great. Let me ask another question. So, what do you guys think?
Yeah, sorry, you're not allowed to ask this question.
No!
I am not a legal age.
No! Don't look at that.
Oh, I saw it.
Was that 4 and 3 tunes?
So I have a question for you that you all know the answer to already. If you had 3 on the sides or on the legs, what do you think the hypotenuse is going to be?
4.
If you take the pattern we've had, it's going to be 3 radical 2. Okay? So, 1 radical 2, 2, 2, 2 radical 2. We could, but then we wouldn't see the pattern. Well, I like patterns. Let me ask you guys this. If we have x and x, what's the hypotenuse going to be?
X radical 10.
X radical 2.
I like this one.
Okay? So make sure you have all those triangles drawn.
Well, I would love to. Gary,
That one's special about it.
Lily, you have a question. What's your question, Lily? I can show you real quick. So 3 squared plus 3 squared equals c squared, right? So 9 plus 9 equals c squared. So c squared is 18. So c is the square root of 18. We good so far?
Yeah, and then 8.
Okay, so 18 can be broken down into, let's see, 9 and 2, and then 9 is 3 and 3, right?
Oh, okay, so it's
I was just explaining to Lily why this one's 3 radical 2.
so that's why it would be 3 on the outside.
So this is really 3, 3, 2. So the 3 comes to the outside.
So why would you drop the other 3?
Because when there's two things that are
When there's a pair under the radical, one of them gets to come out. I mean, they both disappear and one of them remains outside of the radical.
So why can't we? Okay.
Yes, Sky.
so
If your name is not Sky, please be quiet.
so is the radical the thing that's like the
Square root, radical, same thing. Yep. Different words, same meaning. Yep. So you could read this as 3 radical 2 or 3 square root of 2. Yep, same thing. Okay? So if you know that the legs are x and x, and this only works, by the way, on a right triangle where the angles are 45 and 45. Okay? So if you know the legs are x and x, then the hypotenuse is x times the square root of 2. What if the legs were y and y? Then the hypotenuse would be y radical 2 or y square root of 2. Good. Okay? So let's write this down. If you have a 45 degree, 90 degree triangle, then the 2 legs are equal, and the hypotenuse is equal to a leg times square root of 2. So I'll give you guys a second to write that. Jake and Christian, you should be ready. Zane, you should be writing.
I'm trying to tell you that I need a new pen because mine just exploded.
Oh my gosh, that's
yeah.
Zane, this is why I don't want you to yell things out, because then you sure.
Please stop distracting me.
It's okay as long as it's pretty
Who is still writing?
I am.
Zane is.
Okay, let's hurry up.
Hey,
We got lots of
calm
notes.
down.
Why would you say?
I'm pretty calm.
I calm down. One pen was. Yesterday you looked like you were having some of the others kids in the factory.
Yeah, well.
You go trick or treat with your guys?
I am. Can I make a teacher confession? Lexi's not even 2 years old. She doesn't need to eat chocolate, but we're going trick or treating.
I'm going trick or treat too. Mr. T,
I'm dressed in dress.
So you do the math.
Mr. T, I might see you. I'm going
Don't
trick
do
or
that. You
treat
must
too.
correct your daughter. That's
Wait,
not
I'm
our
doing
parents
it.
does.
They live.
My mom be doing that. She's like, I like
Who is still writing? I hear a lot of talking, so I assume you guys are done writing.
No, what? Calm that down.
I work tomorrow as well. And Saturday.
She used to always tell me some. She
always gave me.
I tried.
All right, I'm gonna keep moving.
No,
This